All right, this is Frank Hickson. I'm back here with Make It Rain Ranch. So one of the things that we're doing is we're in the build of our new house out here on the ranch, and just like you all, is even though I'm a civil engineer by trade and makeshift or pretend cowboy ranch hand at night, I I'm learning how to do things kind of on the fly as we go. I'm not in by any sense of the imagination a professional at construction, but when I learn about cool products, I'll show them. Again, anything I show you right now, I don't receive anything from. I actually bought this with my own money, but I've had problems because I'm actually in the build of this house. I'm installing closets for my son. In his son's closet, he wanted something a little bit unique. My son's an old soul that, he does have autism. So even though he's an adult, he still is growing in life and advancing at his pace, let's put it that way. So I did want to install some nice closet systems that were really more geared, like I guess you would say manly, but he wanted something more than just a pipe, little wire furniture. I went here, so we found this nice pipe system, but the issue is we designed this house with this room to have three solid pour concrete walls, concrete on the ceiling. It's going to have a steel door here because our current house got hit by both hurricanes and tornadoes, so we're a little bit hypersensitive to those things. So we're deciding to make at least one room in this house a place that we can hide in if we need to. Even though the whole house has solid pour concrete walls around, this gives us one extra assurance that this room will have it on all sides, as well as the roof structure. So the problem that does is there's a very small cavity behind this drywall to be able to hang something, and I want to make sure these closet systems don't come down. So looking for solutions. I couldn't just use little drywall anchors. I can't use drywall screws because they're too long. They're going to hit the concrete. Like I said, there's a very small gap behind it. So looking for solutions out there, I actually found this product. So it's called Bull Fix. It's a really neat little system. So I got a couple things out here. So essentially what they give you with the starter kit is they actually will give you this spade bit that comes in. I believe it's like a 1/2 inch. You drill that into the wall. Once you have that in, you go ahead and you'll take this collar system. So it's a little collar. That's the back. The front is got the little like flange on it so that it able sits onto the wall. So as you drill it in, it'll stop it. It'll sit flush on the wall. Once you get that in, you want to take this little scissor piece. I don't know if you can see it really well, but it's like a little scissor piece. And you want to make sure, and it swivels, so it actually, you can see it actually does this rotation. Of course, rotates more when you drop it and break it. All right, let's see what happens. I just over-rotated it, obviously. So, gotta get it back in. Now I have to fix what I messed up there. So, let's see. So, if you do it in the wrong way, it's gonna fall apart on you. So just be ready for that. So when you have this thing, it's going to lay flat like that. And it's going to lay like that because you're going to have the drywall here, and this piece is going to push up against that drywall. So what's going to happen? So when you insert it, you got to make sure you fold it like that so it almost looks like a fish. So once you get it in it's like fish shape, they should call them fish hooks instead or whatever. You're going to take the flange, and you can see that there's a little opening there. You're going to slide it into the flange like that. And then what will happen is what you're going to do is on these pieces that do the front part of the fish, you're going to kind of like push those together as such. And as you're pushing those together to flatten out the front, you can see how it's flattening out. This piece behind it is grabbing behind the drywall. So the front flange is on the front of the drywall. This is behind the drywall, and it locks it in. And then what you end up doing is that little hole there, you'll screw that in, it'll twist it and lock it down. So that's kind of what we're looking at doing. So we're going to try to drill in one right now and see if we can get it to work. So we're going to go up. I've already marked. Whoa, fall off my ladder. So I've already marked the 4 holes I need. I'm just going to do the middle one and hope to God this works. I'm going to try to get right in the center where I was at. Hold on a second. All right, I'm back, and sorry about that. As with any build, there's always interruptions, but as I was saying, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with a spade bit. I've got my glasses so I can actually see. I'm going to take my spade bit, I'm going to try to put it right in the center where I needed it. And then you want to drill right in. So I'm in there. I've actually hit the insulation that's in that small little gap behind it. That's what makes putting in the caps very simple, or very difficult. So now that I have that in there, the next thing is to find the cap. So the cap goes in. One thing to be careful of is when you know that you're putting this cap in and these things flare out, you want to make sure there's no like furring strip or anything on each side, which I've already checked. It's not there. So I'm going to go ahead and install this. Put this bad boy in there. And you want to have a hammer. Tap it in. Which unfortunately I have on the floor because I'm an idiot. Let's get this hammer up. Here we go. So that's flush in there. Let's move on to the last part. Again, like I said before, make it look like a fish. And we're going to shove the tail into the wall. Now remember, there's the opening right there. So you want to make sure that your thing opens with the gap that's in there. You don't want to push it the other way. It won't go in there anyhow. So you want to make sure you follow that. Then we're going to start to spread it open. I need some more leverage. I'm going to have to get my ladder, get a little bit of leverage on this thing. Okay, now you're going to take your hammer and tap it in the rest of the way. So, see it's starting to flatten out. There we go. There, now it's nice and flat in there. Well, flat enough. Good. So now when I try to put in a screw, and I'll show you video of that when I get to that. I'm going to do the rest of them and come right back and do that. Alright, welcome back. For those who don't know, I'm actually in my black Make It Rain shirt. Yes, it is another day. For those who live on or work on equestrian farms, you just never know what's going to happen to throw you off a little bit. So yesterday we ended up having some issues with one of the horses I had to go take care of, and then while I was there, I decided to ride the horse for a little bit. My wife gave me a good lesson. I'm still learning to ride horses, so it's I still have a little nervous factor going into it. Right now, as I left off yesterday, I do have these things drilled in. I just did 4 of them. That's all I'm going to need to hold them in. I'll hit them with regular drywall screws after that. So now what we're going to do is to the next step of those locks, and it's just simply putting in and drilling them in. So we'll see if this actually works. Let me get my ladder placed. I'm just using a regular Ryobi drill from Home Depot with a little extension and my Phillips head driver, because the screws they give you have Phillips heads on them. So let's go ahead and find where I place one of those. And we'll see if this thing actually locks in. So lock it into place there. Damn, that works good. That thing's in there tight. Let's do the second one. Did one in each one of these. Man. too, they take a little finagling. You gotta make sure when you put these screws in there, or you put these wall anchors in, that you get them really opened up all the way. If there's any little hole in them, they kind of don't grab well. So I do have an issue with this one. I'm gonna have to figure it out. Maybe I need a longer extension for my drill. So let me go see if I can find a longer extension. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. I didn't have an extension, so all I did was I pushed the drill out a little bit more. I was able to get those 2 screws in there. So now, with this Vevor, you look at it, she's tighter than I thought it would be. You know? There's no flex, there's no real sway in it. Everybody said, I think, you know, the secret again to this system is really tightening these things down as you're building it. Make sure they're really tight. And then getting these wall anchors in. But man, I'm pretty impressed how cheap it was. I think I got it at Home Depot. This whole system here cost like 200 bucks. And I'm able to get it in there. So now I just gotta put the second one in right here. And I'll have it, I'm gonna set it right next to it so it'll have a nice L configuration, a corner configuration. Then I'll put my pipe rack in and then we'll be rocking and rolling. So I don't think I'll video those. Just want you to know, Vevor, I'm gonna give you, I might do a little video for the pipe rack because it's a little bit different over here to hang clothes. But so far, I'm impressed. For the price, the money, a little bit better instructions, I think it would have been perfect. So, all right. Talk to you guys later. Hope you enjoy building. You know, why pay other people when you can learn to do it yourself? Right. All right, guys. You see, I got the first one up. Now I'll be working on the second one. It's going to go in exactly the same as the other one, just going to be next to it. I'll butt them up as close as I can to get them, kind of make a nice little corner unit for my son. Get stack his clothes in there, be done. We wanted them pretty tight to the wall so that, again, if there's a tornado coming, usually our tornadoes only last like 30, 40 seconds to a minute. We could rush in here and squeeze 4 of us, standing room only. So we can get in here, get the door closed, wait till that tornado passes, and then we can get out of here. That was really the intent of it. Other than that, it also could be a safe room or panic room if my kids are home alone and they need to squeeze somewhere. They'll be able to squeeze in here and call us out at that point. So that's kind of what it looks like right now. I'm gonna go ahead and drill these in.